Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for Game 2 of the 2015 World Series played between the New York Mets at the Kansas City Royals on October 28th, 2015. We're going to go over every at-bat and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. And the Royals won the first game, and they were looking to go up 2-0 before heading to New York for 3, and the Mets were looking to split the two games in Kansas City with a victory here in Game 2 before going to New York. But on the mound for Kansas City, Johnny Cueto, and on the mound for New York, Jacob deGrom. And Johnny Cueto was in rare form. He entered this game with an ERA over 7, almost an ERA of 8. It was like 7.88. But he really shut him down here in this one, starting off in the first inning as he retired the side in order as he got Granderson to ground out. David Wright grounded out, and then he struck out the red-hot Daniel Murphy. So that would do it for the top of the first. Now to the bottom of the first, deGrom would set down the side in order as well as he got Escobar, Zobrist, and Kane all to fly out. So that did it for the first inning. Now on to the top of the second, and Cueto would get Cespedes to line out. Duda then reached on an infield single, and then d'Arnaud grounded into a double play. So that did it for the top of the second. Now to the bottom of the second, deGrom would set down the side in order for the second straight inning as he got Hosmer to strike out, he got Morales to fly out, and Moustakas grounded out. So deGrom retired the first 6 batters he faced, and now on to the top of the third. Cueto would set down the side in order for the second time in this game, just as he had in the first inning, as he got Conforto to strike out, Flores grounded out, and then Lagares flew out, and that did it for the top of the third. So now deGrom in the bottom of the third would get Perez to fly out. That would be 7 batters retired before Alex Gordon drew a walk and was the first base runner for the Royals in this game. Alex Rios then struck out, and Escobar grounded into a fielder's choice, and that would do it for the third. So now to the top of the fourth, Cueto would let up a leadoff walk to Granderson. Then David Wright fouled out, and then Daniel Murphy drew a walk. So he had 2 on, 1 out for Cespedes. Cespedes grounded into a fielder's choice, and Granderson was out at third. And on that play, Moustakas fielded the ball. He tagged third base, and he made a throw for first to get Cespedes out, but Hosmer was drawn off the bag ever so slightly, which allowed Cespedes to be safe at first and allowed the inning to continue, whereas just a matter of about maybe 1 inch off the bag, if even that. It was about as close could be to getting out of the inning, but the inning would continue now with 2 out, 2 on for Duda, and Duda hits a single, and that brings in Murphy, and it was 1-0 Mets. So the Mets get a run where the Royals were an inch away from ending the inning, but instead now it's 1-0 New York over Kansas City. d'Arnaud would then fly out, and that would do it for the fourth, but not after the Mets had put a run on the scoreboard. So now to the bottom of the fourth, Zobrist would reach on an error by Duda, and then Kane lined out. So now Hosmer came up. He hit a single, so he had 2 on, 1 outs for Morales. Morales grounded out, but that moved Zobrist to third, Hosmer to second. Moustakas then drew a walk, so he had the bases juiced, and Salvador Perez at the plate with a chance to tie this game and possibly take the lead, but Perez grounded out, and that did it for the bottom of the fourth. So headed to the top of the fifth, 1-0 New York over Kansas City. And Cueto in the top of the fifth would set down the side in order for the third time in this game, as he had in the first and third innings, as he was setting down the side in every odd inning. And here he got Conforto to foul out, Flores grounded out, and Lagares flew out. So now to the bottom of the fifth, Alex Gordon would draw a walk to lead off the inning. Rios then hit a single that moved Gordon to second, 2 on, no outs for Escobar, and Alcides Escobar comes up big once again, this time with a single that drives in Gordon, and so now it was a tie ball game at 1 run apiece. So now Zobrist at the plate, he would ground out, but that would move over Rios and Escobar to third and second respectively, as we had 2 runners in scoring position now with 1 out. Lorenzo Cain then stepped into the batter's box. He lined out, and so now you had 2 outs, 2 on, 2 runners in scoring position for Eric Hosmer. And Eric Hosmer comes up clutch once again. He hits a single that drives in both Rios and Escobar, and now the Royals were in the lead for the first time in this ball game with the score 3-1 Kansas City over New York with the 2 RBI double. So now Morales would come to the plate. He would hit a single that would move Hosmer to third. So you had runners on the corners with 2 outs for Mike Moustakas. And Moustakas almost went yard. He came ever so close to hitting a 3-run shot, but it was a foul ball that it just missed going over the wall. And so now he would get another pitch, and Moustakas would hit a single, and now that would bring in Hosmer, and it was 4-1 Kansas City. Morales moved over to third, and now Perez in the batter's box. He would ground out, and that would do it for the 5th, but not after the Royals had put 4 runs on the board to take the 3-1 lead over the Mets with the score 4-1 Kansas City over New York after 5. So now on to the 6th inning, and Cueto would set down the side in order for the 4th inning in this row, the 2nd straight inning. And it's the first time he set down the side in an even inning, as he had done it in the 1st, 3rd, and 5th all odd innings. But here in the 6th, he gets Granderson to ground out, David Wright flew out, and Daniel Murphy struck out. So that did it for the top of the 6th. Now on to the bottom of the 6th, and Hansel Robles in to pitch for New York in relief of deGrom, who had let up 4 runs in the 5th. So here in the 6th, Robles would set down the side in order as he got Gordon to fly out. Rios flew out as well, and Escobar grounded out. So that did it for the 6th. Now on to the top of the 7th. Johnny Cueto really hitting his stride as he now set down the side in order for the 3rd straight inning, the 5th time in this game, as he had set down the side in order in the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, and now in the 7th, as he continued to set down the side in every odd inning, and he threw in that even inning in the 6th there as well. But here in the top of the 7th, he strikes out Cespedes, then gets Duda to fly out, and then Darno flew out as well, and we would head to the 7th inning stretch. So now on to the bottom of the 7th, Jonathan Neese on the mound for the Mets in relief of Robles, who had pitched the 6th inning, and Neese would get Zobrist to ground out, but then he walked Lorenzo Cain. He then got Hosmer to fly out, and he struck out Morales. So that would do it for the 7th inning. So now on to the top of the 8th. Johnny Cueto still on the mound, and he would set down the side in order for the 4th straight inning, the 6th inning in this game, as he set down the side in the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and now here in the top of the 8th, as he got Conforto to fly out, Flores lined out, and Lagares grounded out, as Cueto continued his pitching excellence deep in this game, as he just got better and better and better as the game went on. So now on to the bottom of the 8th, Neese still on the mound for New York, and he let up a leadoff single to Moustakas. Then Perez hits a double that moves Moustakas to third, so you have 2 on in scoring position with no outs for Alex Gordon, and Alex Gordon hits a double that brings in Moustakas. Perez held up at third, and so now you had 2 runners still in scoring position, and with the run crossing the plate, it was now 5-1 as the Royals extended their lead to 4 runs here in the bottom of the 8th. So that would do it for Neese. Reed would come in to relieve him, and the first batter he would face would be Orlando, and Orlando almost takes it yard as he took it about as deep as you can, all the way back to the warning track. Cespedes caught the ball. Salvador Perez tagged up, and he was able to score, as that's how deep Orlando hit it, that even the catcher was able to tag up and score. That's not an easy thing to do. And it was now 6-1 as the Royals extended their lead to 5. And Gordon was able to tag up as well from second and move to third. So now Escobar in the batter's box, and Alcides Escobar comes up clutch, huge. He has been red hot in this postseason, the ALCS MVP, and right here he hits a triple that brings in Alex Gordon, and it's 7-1 as the Royals now led by 6 runs, and Escobar making it all the way to third, hustling it out, beating out the throw. And so now that would do it for Reed, and Gil Martin would come in to relieve him for New York. He would get Zobrist to ground out, and Kane would pop out, and that would do it for the 8th. But not after the Royals had added 3 more runs to the scoreboard to push their lead to 6, with the score 7-1, Kansas City over New York. So now to the top of the 9th, Johnny Cueto back out on the mound to go for the complete game, as he had set down the side in order for the last 4 innings. The only innings where he didn't set down the side in order were the 2nd and the 4th, as he had set down the side in order in the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. And he would get Granderson to ground out, and then David Wright would ground out as well, as it looked like he might set down the side in order again, but then Daniel Murphy came to the plate, and Murphy would draw a walk. So Murphy draws the walk, and he would end up taking 2nd on a fielder's indisperence, as Cespedes was at the plate, and Cespedes would fly out, and that would do it for Game 2, as Johnny Cueto pitches the complete game, and the Royals win 7-1 and go up in the World Series 2-0. So the Royals win both games in Kansas City. The series will be headed to New York for the next 3 games, with the Royals having a chance to win this one without having to go back to Missouri. So we'll see how that plays out in New York. But what a game this was. What a pitching performance by Johnny Cueto, as he nearly had a shutout. If it hadn't have been for that run in the 4th, which I'll tell you, it was an inch away from being a shutout for Cueto, because if Hosmer hadn't have been pulled off first on that throw from Moustakas there in the 4th, they would have been out the inning with the double play. They came very, very close. I mean, both guys made a great play. It was a really good play by Moustakas to get that ball and get the 1 out there on the hot corner and tag third and get the lead runner. That was definitely a good thing. And then the throw, that's how it goes. Sometimes, it's tough to make that throw from across the diamond, but it just barely pulled Hosmer. He made a great grab at it and extended himself. I mean, he was doing the splits, but he just barely got pulled off of first, maybe a centimeter or 2, if not even at the most an inch. But that's how close it was to a shutout for Cueto. But still an excellent performance by Cueto, with 9 innings pitched, complete game, just 1 earned run off of just 2 hits. He had 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. As Cueto only allowed 3 of the Mets to even reach base in this game, and only 1 Met had a hit, and that was Duda, who had both hits. He had 2 hits, he was 2 for 3, and he had that RBI. But other than that, Cueto had the Mets hitless, and Granderson reached on a walk, and Murphy reached on 2 walks, and those were the only other base runners, as the Mets only had 3 of their batters reach base in their lineup. So quite the performance by Johnny Cueto, as he had Granderson 0 for 3, Wright 0 for 4, Murphy was 0 for 2 with those 2 walks, Cespedes 0 for 4, Darno 0 for 3, Conforto 0 for 3, Flores 0 for 3, and Lagares 0 for 3. As I said, Duda was the only one with a hit. He was 2 for 3 with the lone RBI. And for the Royals, Escobar coming up big once again, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs and a run scored in this game. Hosmer 2 for 4, 2 RBIs and a run scored. Moustakas 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. Gordon 1 for 2 with an RBI, 2 runs scored, and 2 walks. Rios was 1 for 3 with a run scored. Perez 1 for 4 with a run scored. Morales was 1 for 4. And they actually had 8 of the 9 starters reach base in this game for Kansas City. So quite the opposite for the 2 offenses. And you had a couple of doubles there, Perez and Gordon, and of course Escobar with that triple, that RBI triple. No home runs in this game, no one went deep. Moustakas came close. He almost had a 3-run shot, but instead he ended up with an RBI single. as it was a foul ball on that one that he almost went yard. And Orlando went pretty deep on his sack fly. Of course, that was in the middle of the warning track, though, where Cespedes caught that one. But the Royals do it with small ball, playing the way that they play. As Kansas City can manufacture runs with the best of them. And that 1 through 9 is a tough lineup. It's almost in the lineup, you never know where you're at in that lineup because every single hitter is so good and can hit for contact. And they also got a little bit of power in that lineup, but going through the lineup, there's no easy out against Kansas City. Not to say that there is against New York. I mean, this is the World Series, the two best teams, has come down to in 2015, the best from the American League, the best from the National League. You can make the argument, but there's a reason why they're both there in the World Series and playing for the best team in baseball, playing for that trophy. And the Royals now up 2-0. They're sitting pretty. They're looking pretty good going to New York. And especially the way they were able to jump all over deGrom. And that was the thing heading into this game. It was a complete difference in terms of Cueto came into the game with like a 7.88 ERA, something like that. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments section. But he had like a 7.8 ERA in the postseason, as he was having some struggles earlier on in the postseason. But right here, he almost throws a shutout, a complete game, just one run allowed, only 2 hits, only one batter with a hit, only 3 base runners reaching base. And on the other side, deGrom, he was pitching lights out throughout the postseason, as he only had an ERA of about like 1.8, and then here he ends up getting blown up in this game as he allows 4 runs, and the Royals end up scoring 7. So that was very interesting. But Cueto, you knew that he was going to have to turn things around just from how talented he is. He wasn't going to go out like that, having the postseason with an ERA of 7. Yes, he'll have, a rough outing. Every pitcher does at some point, but you knew he was going to pitch a gem at some point, because that's the type of talent that Johnny Cueto has on the mound. He is one of the top pitchers in baseball. He's one of the most fun pitchers to watch, that's for sure. deGrom is also an excellent pitcher as well, and as you see, even the best of them do have those rough outings. It does happen. That is baseball. But Johnny Cueto with the win, obviously. And deGrom gets the loss. Said 4 earned runs off of 6 hits in 5 innings pitched. He walked 3 batters, struck out 2. Robles in relief, 1 shutout inning with no hits allowed. The Nice came in for an inning, and he allowed 3 earned runs off of 3 hits, walked a batter. He did have a strikeout. Reed pitched 1/3 of an inning with 1 hit allowed, no earned runs. And Gil Martin pitched 2/3 of an inning with no hits, no earned runs. So those are the stats. And that was quite the game, especially coming off the heels of that 14-inning game, as most of these players did not get much sleep, if any at all, having to turn back around and play Game 2 the very next day after playing almost 2 games the night before, as that game went deep into the night and into the AM, into the morning, before they ended that one, which lasted over 5 hours. It was 5 hours and 9 minutes, that first game. But here in Game 2, they clock in under 3 hours at 2 hours and 54 minutes. But what a game. And I'll tell you, they had them jam-packed there in Kansas City. It was standing room only, and the crowd was going crazy. The long 14-inning game didn't zap the crowd, that's for sure. Of course, you wonder how many people were the same people as everybody in the state and all over the country wanted tickets to this game. But they're going to be headed back to New York for Game 3, and that's going to really be the crucible right there. The Royals, if they can take Game 3, then they've pretty much got this series locked up. They're in a really good position. The Mets, though, down 0-2. They're not done just yet. The next 3 in New York, they have a chance to potentially, if they can, win their games at home, they could take the lead in the series, force it back to Kansas City. That is possible. But the Royals right now are on the roll. And especially after that first game, going extra innings the way it did, and then for them to come out big here in Game 2, it's like winning that first game was like winning 2 games. And then winning this game, it's almost as if they're up 3-0, although it is just 2-0, so it's not quite, but momentum-wise, energy-wise, it almost feels that way, because it takes a lot out of a team to lose that 14-inning game and then come right back and get kind of blown out. Not so much, but when they added on those 3 more runs in the 8th inning to really seal the victory there, to take it from being a safe situation in the 9th to just being like, hey, giving Cueto plenty of room to go out there and complete the game, but it also keeps the bullpen rested for Kansas City after having to exhaust that bullpen in Game 1. They don't have to use any relievers here in Game 2, but the Mets, they had to use 4 relievers, so their bullpen is exhausted. So the Royals are really in a very nice spot here and have a really good chance to go up 3-0 in Game 3. But we shall see. As you know, it's going to be a must-win situation for New York. They're going to put it all out on the line for sure, as they are not going to be able to afford to go down in that one. It's a must-win game. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun to watch for sure. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and having a good week and enjoying all the sports.